Hi and welcome back. In this video, we're going to be looking at starting to move our Milestone project from JSON to a database. If you've skipped the last couple of videos and you went straight from CSV to database, that's fine. We're just going to make a couple of changes here. Now, the first thing to do is in the create book table, we're going to create our table. Now, we'll start by opening up a connection to the database. For that, we're going to need SQLite 3. We're going to import SQLite 3 instead of JSON. That's going to give us a few errors in our file, but that's okay for now. To open a connection, you know how to do that. We looked at that in the slides last couple of videos. So go ahead and pause the video and give it a go. Open up the connection, create your cursor, and then come back for we will implement the query here. I hope you got that. What to do is, of course, connect first of all. SQLite 3.connect. And in here, we're going to give it the file that we want to store all our data in. That's going to be data.db. Notice that data.db is going to appear in our project directory and not beside database.py. So it'll appear at the top level, which is pretty nice. Then we'll create a cursor. Then we can perform the query which is going to create our database. We'll do that in a moment. Then we'll have to, of course, commit our connection to make sure that the database does get created and that the table is all in the file. And at the end, we will close the connection. So by the way, I said create database a couple of times there. I mean create table. We're going to be creating a table. Now, the SQL query is going to be a string that we're going to put inside this execute method here. It's really straightforward. All that we have to do is say create table. So pretty English-like so far. Then we'll give it the table name, whatever we want to create. In this case, it's going to be called books. The table name here is for us to understand what it's storing, and also will be used when we want to retrieve data. So books seems like a good name, so that we can then, know that we're storing books in it. Then we'll also need what columns are in our table, what types of data we want to store. And these are going to be fairly simple. We want to store the name of the book, the author of the book, and the read status. Okay, so that goes in brackets after the table name. We also have to specify what type of data is going into each of these columns. Name is going to be a text, author is going to be a text, and read is going to be 1 or 0, so it's going to be an integer. SQLite only supports 5 types of data, so it's really simple. Null, which just means empty or void or no data in here, very similar to Python's none. Integer, which means a whole number. Real, which means a floating point number. Text, which just means any string. And blob, which is a binary data field where you can store things like images or documents, PDFs, and so forth. So those are the 5 data types that SQLite supports. And now we've created here our table books with 3 columns, name, author, and read. Notice how we don't have an ID column here, because this is the only table we've got. We don't need to relate this table to any other table in our system, ergo we don't need an ID. The name is going to be what's going to identify our table. As we progress, we will add some more complexity to this, but whichever column is going to be the main identifying column of your table, you can signal it as a primary key. So that's name, text, primary key. And that just tells SQLite that name cannot contain any duplicates, so that no 2 books can have the same name. And also it improves performance when we are going to be searching for specific names. The complexities of primary keys and what that entails won't be explained in this course, but in other courses. Here, I just want to talk about Python. Now, when we run this, we will be creating our data.db file, and inside it we'll create our table. And indeed, we can go ahead and run app. And this before we print this out, we know inside our app that we are calling create book table. So we can stop the app and now notice how data.db has been created. We can open it, and this is some weird ass data, which represents whatever it is that SQLite is storing here. Notice how it's not terribly readable, but if you open data.db with your SQLite browser, some more stuff will pop up. Okay, this is how to create a table using SQLite. You say create table, then the table name, and then the columns one by one separated by commas, and including the type of data, and for one column, whether they are the primary key or not. Okay, that's it for this video. I'll see you on the next one, where we're going to be inserting data.